this mix I've been working on, we have variances of, it's mostly hip hop, and then there's some bass and stuff like that. And I won't get too much into sound design. I know people really, that's what they want to see, and like I'll be happy to share that with another date. It's going to turn into like an actual song, but for now it's a mix. Um, and what I actually found was very interesting from finding out mashups is like going deep into what those old hip hop artists used to use to mash up, and like it's done so differently. It's so much more wild, and you can kind of clean it up and then just do it to your own style. So, a friend of mine did let me clear my throat, and again, for those of you who don't know, it's we love our country, the United States. So it's basically says "fuck Donald Trump," and he did a version of it. It sounds like this. Some of y'all might know this, and some of y'all don't. Some of y'all might get with this, and some of y'all won't. But listen. And to keep the kind of like old school style, I made a really boomy kick. While layered with the percussion and then the old school track. So like the initial transits really cut through when they come in. Not super interesting. It's literally just taking the track that my friend kind of remixed and changed up, and I transpositioned it to fit the key of the entire song, which I decided after moving between C and B and B sharp, just making everything D. classic electronic music shit. Just make it D. But it was actually good. It worked out because due to the if you go to like my internet fucking doesn't work, but like if you go to like a tempo transposition calculator, you could see how many like the difference between like if you're going from a higher to a lower BPM, then also the key will go lower. So it calculates all that, and you can kind of like figure out ways to make it work, and so it doesn't you don't get too many different artifacts and stuff like that. And if you still have artifacts, you can kind of fuck with the different types of warping and stuff. You can use beats mode if you want, and then just like try and like use different types of transients and stuff like that. But I think for most of these we use the Complex Pro just because it's like a very easy cleanup, and it kind of keeps your workflow going. Anyway, to continue on, so I was having trouble here because I was like, I really like the vocals to Oh Enemy. But as you can tell, it's like there's a shit ton of artifacts in that. So like I had to like also like find a good version of like Fight the Power. Fight the power. Fight the power. But you can still kind of hear like high end, so it's kind of a pain in the ass. So you have to do like little clean cuts and stuff like that. But what I did also is I looked at what Fight the Power took the samples from, and just like made a loop of that. And so it'd be like, that's the original, right? And then this is good old Hot Pants, JB Hot Pants, man. That's where it's originally from. And so then there was also like this cool part in JB Hot Pants, like so you use that as a riser. And so combined with these two, you get a lot of flavor and texture. Like this has a lot of like, definitely has a lot of texture, and like this has a lot of that guitar coming straight through, punching in. And then that kind of cleaned up around the vocals. One thing you can use with vocals is a reduced ambience, which helps a lot. So if I solo this out, you can listen. Also, the cutting out helps too.
89 the number. Another sinner. Sound the fucking drummer. Hit your heart. Another soul.
You can hear it's a little bit more contained. And then anything after just comes after. And so that's like fight the power. But the other thing is too, because it is Public Enemy, I was like, hey, fuck it. Why don't we also bring in fucking Party? Was it Fight Party? Yeah, this one right here. Party for Your Right to Fight. And that's where you get the Yeah Boy, which comes at the end. It's like, yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. So it was like a little callback in this little part back to Public Enemy before going to the Public Enemy over here. So the Kendrick ones also, which is super interesting. For the vocals, I looked online for acapellas, and then I cut out the parts I really liked. So, with it being Donald Trump, I was like, yeah, he's a sexual predator, and he's definitely a pedophile. So I said, a minor, like a young, certified pedo freak. So it's like all those call outs coming in. And then for the actual Kendrick sample, check it out. So like what we did is we transpositioned it. You can see it's like 7 semitones. But the original soundtrack is fucking awesome. Like if you just, it's so slow. Like it's sped up to a motherfucker. But you listen to Munchkin's. Isn't that crazy? That was a cool idea too. Like that's a huge difference. I think the original, it's probably like around 60 fucking BPM, and it's like shot up to 106. So I think it's 101 in Like Us, Not Like Us. So if you took this sample, right? Let's just do that. Right? Or let's unwarp it. It's cool, right? And so anyway, that was kind of like we did that with a bunch of different songs. Childish Gambino's, This Is America, Green Day, American Idiot, Dead Presidents, Fuck the Police, Killing in the Name of America, Fuck Yeah. Actually, you don't really even hear this, but this is very funny to me every time I hear it, but you don't really hear it. That bass is sick though. And the bass I took also from the Not Hot Pants. It was Fight the Power, Isley Brothers. So you can't really hear it as well because it's like muddied up. So what I did is I found somebody online playing a version of it, and I cut it and I transpositioned it and like really brought up the high so it was more clean. So you just got the bass to stand out there and then added a sub to it. So. And what I did here is I took the fucking because that fill sounds so fucking good. So then I added transient shaper to that, so it'd be more, staccato, I guess, or whatever. So it felt good. It was like, yeah. I'm not gonna play the whole fucking thing. I basically played most of it, the piece that I wrote. But for those of you that are interested in EDM side of things, you know, it's a lot of call response here, and then like the texture of like each of these are a little bit different. And this is kind of set in the call, ba ba da da da, ba da 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 da. This is a setup to say, hey, something's coming, and then a little break, and then this is essentially doing what this is doing, and then same thing with this, but in a different way. So as you can see, there's like inconsistency in like the ones, constantly being hit. Like that's saying, hey, da 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 da, or da 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 da. It's like kind of like mixed. So you can see like visually, there's like consistency here on like the structure of how it works, and like even though I'm using like I could use this exact same one 3 times, but I was like, no, let's make it sound the same, but use different instruments for each one. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, maybe I'll use a different synthesizer, or sometimes I'll be like, okay, I'll use a different patch, or sometimes I'll make my own patch. Anyway, so the idea was to create something that sounds similar consistently, so it feels the same but has a different vibe, so it doesn't sound like the same thing all the way from the beginning to the end. And yeah, that is development of my fuck you, America. Hopefully I don't ever have to come back, and sorry for my friends that had to stay there. Peace.